Welcome to Rauta, I am Jerry, and this time I hoping to create the first episode of this series some people have kind of a hope to. I say kinda because I don't know if they really meant a series, more like just showing a little bit of my collection, but this time I wanted to do properly. That is, show you alphabetically what kind of CDs I have in my collection. Now this series won't, at this point anyway, include vinyl ones. Let's see if that happens in the future, because already stacking one letter at a time is quite kind of time consuming, especially if I want a little bit tell you about these particular choices. I mean, there are some questionable, surely. People will be like, why do you like that one? Why do you have this one? Why don't you have this and that? And I hope to address some of these points here. So let's make this more interesting in that sense. Now I've already stacked up a bunch of letters A here on CDs, so you can see pretty much that the shelf behind me is empty at this point. So which means that I essentially need to stack them up there. And the reason why I have been waiting for this to do is like I started recently, meaning like a couple of months ago, listening to these albums. Like pretty much I went through each and every album before deciding whether or not I want to keep them. And as such, I have somewhat fresh recollection of each individual album. Now there are some pointers or some albums which I haven't that recently listened to, but that means I have previously listened to, like say, within 1 year or so, maybe 2 years at max. And those ones I will explain why I didn't listen to them recently. Basically, the thing here is I have been listening to album a day after my normal review albums, so it has been taking some time. Imagine if you have like say 50 albums of given letter and then you would go alphabetically. That would roughly take 50 days. Not that much, but still. And as it is, it seems like I have more letters A than 50. Anyway, I have been already removing the albums which I figured I necessarily don't need. Do I really need these? I mean, after all, they are on streaming services and all. Well, that's a tough question. In some cases, I was like, I could save this, but I can really go without it. And I want to also stay independent of these streaming services when it comes to listening music and figuring out what I want to keep. Now, that's already more than a handful of intro there, so let's start going on. The first pile. These are roughly going in alphabetical order, so you already know what to expect. First I will show you albums. These are not missing a thing, I think. They might be something I have put somewhere else, but that's it. First of all, let's start with Absu, the first band in the question. Why I have only 3 albums of Absu is that these are the ones that I really, really like the most. Tara being, in my opinion, one of the best albums of all times. Then there is Abzu and Abzu. And these are my second favorite Abzu albums. This is definitely one of my favorite USBM bands. So these are definitely up there why I wanted to keep them. And as such, they do belong in my collection. For the previous albums, not so much. But there is an Absu Where's the Best ranking video, in case you are more interested why I chose to include these ones. Then we go into individual albums here and there. Azazel, Suicidal Emotions, one of the best suicidal depressive black metal albums of all times. This was a pretty much on the like whether I keep it or not. Abbath Outstrider. I think Abbath did really the best work after Immortal with this album, and as such I decided like I'm gonna keep it. Then I have a couple of aborted ones. This is a band that has always been pretty consistent with their grindy, somewhat technical death metal. I get it, it's not for everybody, but there is a soft spot why I really like these ones. Maybe there are more I should have, but I haven't really been revisiting some of the older ones recently. And then I have this underrated Finnish band, Igress, for a few albums. I have like one album on vinyl, so hence there's not like full discography. And all these are in my opinion good. They are basically the A tier of Finnish black metal, and as such, I think people really should have them. Now, it seems like these are not in alphabetical order anymore, so I need to rearrange them afterwards. Then there is weird one. One album from Aon, which is a good death metal band. Probably the only one because I got this for review, and as such, it kind of still is good enough for me to keep. Then weird soft spot since I never liked AC/DC, Airborne. This is the album that actually sold me, Black Dork Barking. The previous ones are quite good, but not as good as this one. And then I have, well, which ones? Maybe I just, kind of contradicted myself. But yeah, this is my favorite Airborne albums. The kind of perfect albums to drink beers and all that stuff. And then there's Achilles. This is the album that really, really sold Achilles to me. Pure combination of dark ambient and really sinister dark black metal. The kind of album like, wow, the previous works are good, but I don't have them on CD. And then it seems like I'm a little bit like, this is not perfectly in alphabetical order, but I'll try to, do it so that I'll just twist the album in such ways that I can show you the next ones. First of all, we have Alahan. The debut album is my favorite, but I never some reason upgraded this promo version to a real deal. Something that is actually in my to-do list, so it definitely belongs there. And then so far my favorite 2024 album is the latest Alahan album. Now, mind you, the albums between these are really good too, but some reason I haven't had the time, except for the second album, to get it on CD. So 3 Alahan's, kind of a must. Then my favorite grunge albums of all time, Alice in Chains. This is the second best in my opinion, and third being the favorite one. These are so metallic, some people wouldn't really call them, rock, but whatever. Then some good soundtrack, proper horror movie feeling with Alien soundtracks. Now, these are not the best of Alien movies, obviously, but the soundtracks are really golden. Probably should also get the first 2 ones. Then some really, really cool dark ambient, which is probably not known to you. These are both Amon. It's like the pre-D-side names. This actually comes like the kind of a baking paper kind of a thing. Pretty cool version. So both Amon albums I have, really, really good haunting dark ambient. Something that you people should be checking out if you like dark music. Then one of the biggest bombs, I guess, comes in the form of Amon Amarth. Yes, I have not excessive, but quite good Amon Amarth albums. That means the only ones that I really, really like. Most of them being really good digibacks. This being nice digibook. So as you can see, some of them are thicker versions with 2 CDs and all. And yes, this is my soft spot for melodic death metal. It doesn't really hurt at its Viking themes. Now let's put these aside so I have more room for more albums to come. Amputory, one of the better ones from Finland in terms of death metal. Definitely A grade in that sense. Then there is a couple of individual ones which are not represented in bigger amounts than these 2 albums. And Ocean's Pest album Cypher, which is probably their least black metallic albums, but kind of industrial vibe I really like. Angel Scourge, a black metal band from Finland that unfortunately did only this one album. The current status of the band, unknown, but really, really worth your time to check it out. And then another band I'm a long time fan of, and once again, picking only the best albums in my collection. I mean, I do love thrash metal. So Anthrax. Anthrax here with 7 albums in total. Yeah, because why not? I do really love Anthrax. There are some other albums which are pretty okay in terms of being Anthrax albums, but not good enough for me. But these 7 albums, definitely something I need to own. I recently, maybe already 2 years ago, went through the worst to best with Anthrax, and as such, well, I figured which one I really need. Then some rather unknown black metal band, Atromomorphia. Something that I never remember by name when I, what is this album? Then I put it in my CD player and figured out it's actually good black metal. Got it for review back in the days, and here it has stayed. Then I got a couple of something you people might call guilty pleasures. My favorite arch enemy ones. This is basically a band I shouldn't even like, but I do. I mean, there's certain amount of same thing with Amon Amarth. Different kind of catchiness, but Yeah, you have Michael Amon doing great riffs and guitar leads and, well, good production. Doesn't hurt. So yes, I'm a sucker that much for melodic death metal. Then another bigger pile of certain black metal band coming from Sweden. My favorite black metal band after Bathory coming from Sweden, that is Arcanum. As you can see, these are reversions like these ones. I just like these digibook versions more than the original jewel cases, and hence these versions. And one Archcode album. Now you're wondering why only one Archcode album. Actually, I have some of them on vinyl, and hence this is the only one I have as CD. Yes, I don't have all the Archcode ones, but I have a few, and the rest are on vinyl. The A-grade stuff of Finnish black death metal. Then some more Swedish quality from the black metal side. Armageddon. Full discography. Why not? Because it's good. One of the better bands of all times. Unfortunately, they decided to call it quits after 4 albums. Whereas the best ranking video of my take on Armageddon is on the channel. Then some individual ones like I'm Not. The only one I decided to keep, Eternal Flame. Raw black metal with style. Definitely worth checking out. I do have all the Azazel albums. The debut one being my favorite, but all 3 albums, in my opinion, gold standard black metal. Something you people should definitely check it out in case you missed. Now, Azazel is here with only 1 album, and the reason is very simple. I am kind of a latecomer when it comes to the band. I really started to like this one, and then later on I actually interviewed the band and all, and I'm like, maybe I should actually check them out more than that. But like said, sometimes you just forget to check out certain bands. And then there's another band which I should have probably more albums, but decided not. At the Gates, I recently went worst to best, well, more like retrospective video with lyrics included and all. And these are the only 2 I decided to keep. This being one of the very few 10 out of 10 albums, and of course this is their reissue because it has more tracks, bonus tracks. I had to upgrade the original one to this one. And this is an album I fell in love around 1995, 1996. And since then, 10 out of 10. And this is, in my opinion, the second best At the Gates album, and as such, decided to have it. Beautiful version with, you know, bonus content and all. Then more individual albums. Some surprise elements might be there. Couple of first Atrium Carceri albums. These are dark ambient, very, very haunting ones. The types where you get just prison chains clanging and all that stuff. I forgot to actually go back to this band later on when I got to the first album some 20 years ago, and the second album after that. Really good dark ambient. If you like haunting stuff, dark ambient way, this is your band. And I should definitely visit some of the later ones and figure it out if I need more of them. And then some individual ones. Atrophy, in my opinion, underrated trash metal from United States. This is their best album, but they have other good ones. Odysseus, which is something that doesn't really speak to me with the cover and all, but I must say this is actually pretty good post-black, if you will. And once again, a name that doesn't really stick into my head. When I listen to it, I'm like, God damn, this is good. Odin from Iceland, one of the better modern black metal ones from Iceland. In my opinion, definitely worth checking out. Live was disappointing, but the band on albums is good. And there's more than that, but I only have that one on albums. Then my favorite Or Noir ones. Basically all their albums are pretty good. Some of are better than the rest. And these are the ones I decided to keep. So only 3 ones. Dreams Like Deserts and Hades. And, well, there you have it. Black Trash Attack. I actually had this compilation I recently sold away because lots of overlapping tracks. I figured I don't really need it. But Or Noir was ranking video already done a couple of years ago. So check it out if you want to know more of my takes of that. And then we have one of my favorite Australian bands, which I luckily got to witness live and interview last year, Austere. This is really, really good. Kind of a depressive, atmospheric black metal. The rare kind I really like. Then Afsku, one of the raw end of black metals I really like. This is really good. I should probably dive deeper into their world as well. And finally, the only Azazel albums I really have decided to keep. Agrum Satanas Tecum. Azazel is one of those bands that have their high moments and their low points, and this is the one that I probably like the most. So as you saw, a lot of black metal, but quite a bit of thrash metal, some melodic death metal to begin with. So I don't know, weird choice maybe, and then some dark ambient ones. Actually, even this letter A is already a good way to just like get a glimpse in what my record collection is all about. So it's not just black metal or black metal death metal. There's quite a bunch of thrash metal, then some dark ambient in the mix, even grunge and all that stuff. Now, coming letters will of course feature more curveballs, surprise elements if you will, about my collection. But this is the first glimpse in the series. As soon as I have finished letter B, I'm probably halfway through, I'll do the second episode and then we will explore what I have in B. Trust me, Bathory will be the dominating thing there with Ball Thrower. But what else is in the letter B, you will find out in the episode 2. Now, should you have comments like, cool that you have that one, or damn, I didn't believe that you actually like that band, or whatever, or questions, why don't you have that and that band, or this and that album, or why did you decide to, whatever, do with your collection? Let me know. Let's make this interesting conversation with your comments and feedback about my collection. And if you have some albums that you really strongly need to suggest me, like Jerry, because you have that album in your collection, you should definitely check out this one as well. Let me know and let's figure it out. Now, off you go, and I hope I gave you some tips about some of the albums and bands mentioned in the video. Let's see what I have in stock for the second one. Now, off you go. Bye-bye.